So, 32M, never thought I'd be that guy posting here. But here we are. Me and my wife, 30F, have been married for 5 years. Together for almost 9. No kids, just a small apartment, shared routines, and what I thought was a pretty solid relationship. At least, that's what I kept telling myself. If I'm being honest, things hadn't felt right for a while. She's always been sharp. Like not just blunt, cutting. The kind of person who can turn any small disagreement into a full-on argument and somehow make you feel like you're the unreasonable one. I used to brush it off as strong personality. Now I'm not so sure. The lying, that's harder to admit. It wasn't obvious at first. Just little things. Weird inconsistencies. Stories that didn't quite line up. If I ever pointed it out, she'd snap back immediately, "You're imagining things. Why are you always trying to start something?" And somehow I'd end up apologizing. Yeah. I know how that sounds. But I loved her. Or at least I loved who I thought she was. Looking back, the first real sign something was off, she started guarding her phone like it contained state secrets. And that's where things started to unravel. So about the phone. It wasn't just, she checks it a lot. Everyone does that. This was different. She started taking it everywhere. Shower? Phone on the sink. Quick trip to throw out the trash? Phone in hand. Even when we were just watching Netflix, she'd angle the screen away like I was some kind of spy. At first I joked about it. Like, "What? Are you texting your secret second husband?" She didn't laugh. Instead she snapped, "Can you not be weird for 5 minutes?" And just like that, the vibe shifted. Suddenly I'm the bad guy for making a joke. That should have been my moment to really question things. Instead, I backed off. But the weirdness kept piling up. She started working late more often. And I mean a lot more often. Her job has always had occasional overtime, so it wasn't completely out of character. Except now it was multiple times a week. Sometimes she'd text me last minute like, "Don't wait up." Sometimes she wouldn't text at all and just show up at like 11 p.m. acting exhausted. Here's the thing though. She's a terrible liar when it comes to details. One night she told me she had a late meeting with a client. Next day, casually over coffee, I asked how the meeting went. She froze for half a second, like a literal pause, then said, "Oh, it got canceled actually." Which, okay, that's normal. Except the night before she had complained about how long it went. When I pointed that out, she didn't miss a beat. "Wow, you're really keeping track of everything I say now? That's creepy." And somehow, again, I ended up feeling like I crossed a line. But that was the moment something clicked in my head. Not proof. Not even close. Just this quiet, growing realization. Something wasn't right. After that weird, meeting contradiction, I started noticing everything. Not in a paranoid, tracking her every move way, at least I don't think so. But like, once you see one crack, suddenly the whole wall looks unstable. She'd come home late and go straight to the shower. No hey. No small talk. Nothing. Just a quick long day and gone. And yeah, people shower after work, that's normal. But this felt timed. Like she was trying to wash something off. Not dirt, just the day. Or maybe guilt. I don't know. Her mood swings got worse too. One minute she's fine. The next she's snapping at me over nothing. I'd ask something simple like, "Did you eat already?" And she'd fire back with, "Why are you interrogating me?" Started messing with my head. I kept replaying conversations, trying to figure out if I was being too much. If I was actually the problem like she kept saying. Because every time I got close to asking real questions, she'd flip it on me so fast I'd end up doubting my own memory. And here's the part I'm kind of embarrassed to admit. I checked her social media. Not even deep stalking, just scrolling. And I noticed this one guy liking everything. Old posts, new posts, random stories. The kind of pattern you only notice when you're already suspicious. I asked her about him casually. She didn't even hesitate. "He's just a coworker. Relax." But her tone? Defensive. Sharp. Like I'd accused her of something way bigger than what I actually said. And that gut feeling? It got louder. Still no proof. Just this constant, low-level anxiety sitting in my chest like something bad was about to happen. I kept telling myself, don't jump to conclusions. But at the same time, I already knew something was wrong. At this point, I wasn't sleeping well. Not because of anything dramatic, just that constant tension in the back of my mind. Like my brain was trying to solve a puzzle I didn't want to finish. Then one night, something small happened, and it changed everything. She got home late again. Around 10:30. Same routine. Quick, hey. Avoided eye contact. Straight to the bathroom. I was in the kitchen pretending to scroll my phone, but really just listening. Her phone buzzed. She'd left it on the couch. That never happens anymore. I swear my heart started pounding immediately, like my body reacted before my brain could even process it. I just sat there for a second, staring at it, trying to convince myself not to be that guy. Then it buzzed again. And I wish I could say I respected her privacy. I didn't. I walked over and glanced at the screen. Didn't even unlock it. Just the notification. One message. A name I didn't recognize. Something like, "Miss you already." Tonight was. That's all I saw before the screen dimmed. I just stood there, frozen. Like my brain couldn't catch up to what my eyes had already read. And right on cue, she walked out of the bathroom. She saw me standing near the couch. Saw the phone in my hand. Her expression changed instantly. Not confusion. Not even guilt at first. Anger. "Why are you touching my phone?" "No, what's wrong?" "No, did something happen?" Just straight to attack. I tried to play it off. Said it lit up and I was just bringing it to her. Weak excuse, I know. She snatched it out of my hand like I'd done something unforgivable. Then she added, "You seriously need to work on your trust issues." And that line, that one stuck. Because I had just seen enough to know. This wasn't in my head anymore. I didn't confront her that night. Yeah, I know. That probably sounds insane given what I saw, but in the moment my brain just stalled. It was like I had two options. Blow everything up right there, or pretend I didn't see it and buy myself time to think. So I chose silence. We sat on the couch like nothing happened. She acted completely normal, even extra normal, if that makes sense. Laughing at shows, making small talk, like she was overcompensating. Meanwhile, I'm sitting there replaying that one line in my head over and over. "Miss you already." Tonight was. That's not something you send a coworker. Not after a late meeting. I barely slept. Every time I closed my eyes, I pictured her with someone else. Different scenarios, different faces, all of them making my stomach turn. And the worst part? I didn't even know the full truth yet. My brain was filling in the gaps on its own. The next morning, I tried to act normal too. She was in a good mood, like suspiciously good. Making coffee, humming, even kissed me on the cheek before leaving for work, which she hadn't done in weeks. And that's when it really hit me. She could lie to my face like it was nothing. Not just little white lies. Full-on, reality-bending lies. Smile, act affectionate, go about her day like she didn't just spend the night with someone else, or at least make it look that way. I kept thinking, maybe there's an explanation. Maybe I misunderstood the message. Maybe it wasn't what it looked like. I clung to that idea way longer than I should have because the alternative? The alternative meant my entire relationship was built on something fake. But deep down, I already knew I couldn't ignore this anymore. The next couple of days, I felt like I was living a double life. On the surface, normal husband. We talked, ate dinner together, even joked a bit. If someone saw us, they'd think everything was fine. Inside, I was spiraling. That message wouldn't leave my head. And her reaction? Not confusion, not concern, just straight aggression. Like she got caught and her first instinct was to shut it down. So yeah, I did something I'm not proud of. I started paying attention in a way I never had before. Not full-on stalking, but close. I'd notice when she got texts and how fast she'd grab her phone. I'd listen for little details in her stories. I even started remembering exact things she said just to see if they'd change later. And guess what? They did. A lot. One day she told me she was going out with coworkers after work. Cool, normal. Later that night, I texted asking when she'd be home. She replied, "Still at the office, finishing stuff up. So which one is it?" The next morning, I casually asked how drinks were. She blinked. That same half-second pause I'd seen before, and said, "We didn't go. Everyone was too busy." I didn't even argue. I just nodded. But in my head, something shifted from doubt to pattern. And then came the part that really messed with me. I started questioning everything from the past few months. All the late nights, the mood swings, the random fights she'd start out of nowhere. The way she slowly pulled away from me physically, emotionally, everything. It was like putting together a puzzle, except every piece I added made things worse. And I hated myself for it, because I wasn't just suspicious anymore. I was actively looking for proof. Part of me felt justified. Another part felt like I was already losing something, even before I had the full truth. But one thing became very clear. This wasn't going to stay hidden for long. So yeah, eventually I crossed the line. Not just noticing things. Not just connecting dots. I went looking for answers. She forgot her laptop at home one day. Said she'd pick it up later, but she got stuck at work. Shocking. I know. I stared at that thing for a solid hour before even touching it. I knew her password. We've always shared that kind of stuff. Or at least we used to. I kept telling myself, if there's nothing there, I'll stop. I'll drop it. I'll fix whatever's wrong with me. But if there was something, I opened it. At first, nothing obvious. Emails, work files, normal stuff. For a second, I actually felt relief. Like maybe I really had blown this out of proportion. Then I checked her messages. And there it was. Same name from the phone notification. I clicked. I'm not going to quote everything, but the tone was intimate. Way too intimate for just a coworker. Inside jokes I didn't understand. Plans that definitely weren't work-related. And yeah, confirmation. They'd been seeing each other. For months. The late meetings? Him. The coworker drinks? Him. The nights she came home distant, cold, or weirdly cheerful? Also him. There was even a message from him saying something like, "I hate that you have to go back to him after." That word hit harder than anything else. Like I was just the place she returned to in between whatever this was. I don't even remember how long I sat there reading. Felt like time just stopped. My hands were shaking, but I couldn't stop scrolling. Like I needed to see all of it, even though every new message made it worse. And the craziest part? Some of those messages were sent while she was literally sitting next to me on the couch. Acting normal, laughing, living two lives at the same time. That's when it really sank in. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't a one-time thing. This was a full-on double life. And I was the only one who didn't know. I didn't plan it. I didn't rehearse anything. She walked through the door that night, tossed her keys down like always, and said, "Hey," like it was just another normal day. And something in me just snapped. I asked her straight up, "How long has it been going on?" No context. No build-up. She froze. For a split second, I saw it, that flicker of panic. But it disappeared just as fast. "What are you talking about?" she said, already defensive. I didn't raise my voice. I think that actually threw her off more than if I had. I just looked at her and said the guy's name. Silence. Then came the first lie. "He's just a coworker. I already told you that." So I told her I saw the messages. And just like that, everything escalated. She didn't break down. Didn't apologize. Didn't even look ashamed. She got angry. "You went through my laptop? Are you serious right now?" That was her focus. Not what she did, what I did. I told her to stop deflecting. Told her I knew about the late nights, the lies, all of it. I even mentioned that message, the after one. That hit something. Her expression changed again. Less aggressive, more calculating. And then, the story shifted. "It's not what you think." Of course. According to her, it just happened. They got close at work. She felt lonely. I'd been distant. We'd been having problems. All the classics. At one point, she even said, "I didn't mean for it to go this far." Which is wild, considering it had already been going on for months. I asked her one simple question. "Did you ever plan to tell me?" She didn't answer, just looked away. And that silence? That was louder than anything she'd said so far. Because in that moment, I realized something important. It wasn't just the cheating. It was the lying, the gaslighting, the way she made me doubt myself while she was actively betraying me. That's what really broke something in me. After that question, things got messy fast. Not dramatic movie-style yelling right away. It was worse than that at first. Quiet, tense. Like the air in the room got heavier. She finally said, "I didn't know how to tell you." Which, come on. Months of lying and that's the excuse? I asked if it was still going on. Another pause. Another calculation. Then, "It's complicated." That was it for me. I laughed. Not because anything was funny, but because I genuinely didn't know what else to do in that moment. Like, of course it's complicated. That's what people say when they don't want to admit the truth. Pushed again. Harder this time. "Are you still seeing him?" She rolled her eyes. Actually rolled her eyes and said, "Why does it matter right now? We're talking about us." That answer told me everything. I felt this wave of anger hit me, like delayed shock finally catching up. My hands were shaking again, but this time it wasn't from anxiety. It was pure frustration. I told her she'd been lying to me for months, that she made me feel crazy for noticing inconsistencies, that she turned every question into an attack on me. And you know what she said? "You're not perfect either." No apology. No accountability. Just deflection. At some point, voices got louder. She started bringing up random stuff from the past, arguments from years ago, things I'd said, things I'd done, like she was building a case to justify what she did. And yeah, I'll be honest, I've made mistakes in the relationship. I'm not some perfect husband. But none of that explained this. None of that justified a double life. Eventually, I just stopped arguing, because I realized something in the middle of all that chaos. I wasn't talking to someone who felt guilty. I was talking to someone trying to win. And that hit almost as hard as the cheating itself. After the fight, everything just went quiet. Not we resolved it quiet. More like two strangers stuck in the same space, pretending the explosion didn't just happen. She went to bed like nothing really changed. I stayed up on the couch, staring at nothing, replaying every second of that conversation in my head. And that's when it hit me. Not the anger that had already come and gone. This was different. It was like everything inside me just dropped. No adrenaline, no fight left. Just this heavy, empty feeling in my chest. I kept thinking about all the times I doubted myself. All the times I apologized when she was lying. All the moments I felt like I was too much, too suspicious, too insecure. Turns out my gut was right the whole time. That realization didn't feel good. It didn't feel validating. It just made me feel stupid. I don't think I slept at all that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw those messages again. Heard her voice flipping things back on me. Saw her face when she realized I knew. Not guilt, just irritation that she got caught. And then the sadness kicked in. Not just about her. About us. About the version of our relationship I thought was real. The routines, the inside jokes, the future plans. All of it started to feel fake. Like I'd been living in a story where only I believed the plot. The worst part? She was still in the bedroom, sleeping like everything was normal. Like she didn't just tear something apart. At some point, I realized I was sitting there hoping she'd come out, sit next to me, and just tell the truth. Fully. Honestly. Maybe even apologize. She didn't. And that's when the anger faded completely. What replaced it was something heavier. Grief. Because deep down, I think I knew, even if we stayed together, nothing would ever feel the same again. The next few days were hell. I kept replaying everything in my head. Not just the messages, not just the lies, but all of it. Every small argument she'd started for no reason. Every time she snapped at me over nothing. Every late night. It all started to make sense in the worst way possible. And the betrayal wasn't just about the cheating. It was about trust. About the foundation of our marriage being built on lies. About realizing the person you love most can compartmentalize your life like you're just a side note in their story. I couldn't even be in the same room with her without feeling sick. I'd look at her and see both faces at once. The woman I married, and the one who lied, who kept secrets, who treated me like a fool. She'd act normal, cracking jokes, texting on her phone with that same casual smile, and it felt like salt on a wound. I wanted to scream. I wanted to disappear. I wanted to shake her until she admitted the truth, all of it, not just pieces she thought I could handle. I cried more in those days than I had in years. Not just anger tears, but the kind that come from being completely blindsided by someone you trusted completely. The kind that leave your chest aching and your mind replaying the moment over and over. And the most brutal part? I realized I was still in love with her. Despite all of it. Despite the lies. Despite the betrayal. It made the decision I had to make feel impossible. Because love doesn't just turn off. But trust? Trust can disappear in a second. And mine was gone. After a week of barely speaking, I realized something. I had a choice. Option 1, try to work through it. Therapy, rebuilding trust, pretending like the foundation hadn't cracked. Option 2, accept that some things are broken beyond repair, no matter how much love is left. I thought about what staying would mean. Endless doubts, constant paranoia, second-guessing everything she said. Nights lying awake wondering if she was still hiding things. The slow erosion of who I was. All because I wanted a normal marriage that no longer existed. And then I thought about leaving. About reclaiming my life, my self-respect, my peace. About not having to walk on eggshells. About not wondering if I was ever enough. About no longer loving someone who betrayed me at the core. I confronted her again. This time it was calmer. I told her I couldn't do it anymore. That I couldn't continue in a marriage built on lies and betrayal. Her reaction? A mix of shock and anger, of course, but also this strange calm. Almost like she knew it was coming. She tried to convince me to stay. Promises, apologies, excuses. But the words felt hollow. Empty. She'd spent too long living a lie for me to trust anything she said now. I made it clear. My decision wasn't about revenge. It wasn't about hurting her. It was about survival, mine. And finally I felt a weight lift. A little bit. Not all of it. Not yet. But enough to know I was making the right choice. I started planning the next steps. Counseling for myself, moving out logistics, figuring out how to untangle a life that had been so intertwined for nearly a decade. It hurt like hell. But deep down, I knew I'd never regret choosing to respect myself over staying in a poisoned relationship. Leaving wasn't instant peace. Far from it. The first few weeks were brutal. Seeing her for final logistics, picking up stuff, signing papers, dividing accounts, felt like reopening the wound over and over. Every casual glance, every offhand comment reminded me of months of lies. But at the same time, there was relief. Strange, quiet relief. No more gaslighting. No more guessing games. No more pretending everything was fine while my gut screamed otherwise. I cried a lot those first weeks. Some nights I couldn't sleep. Other nights I just sat on the couch, staring at the walls, feeling the emptiness and letting it settle. It was exhausting, but slowly, I started to feel something else creeping in. Clarity. I realized that the anger, the sadness, the heartbreak, they were all signs that I'd invested fully in something real, something I cared about deeply. And losing it hurt because I truly loved her. Not because I was weak, but because I was human. I started talking to friends again, really talking about what happened. I started journaling, writing down my feelings instead of keeping them bottled up. Even little things like cooking for myself, going for walks, listening to music I loved, those tiny routines helped remind me that life was still mine. I won't lie, part of me still misses the version of her I thought I knew. But I know now that version never existed. And letting go of illusions has been painful, but also freeing. It's like breathing after holding water in your lungs for too long. Scary at first, but necessary. After months of trying to rebuild myself, I've learned a few things the hard way. First, trust is everything. Without it, love is just a fragile illusion. You can have chemistry, shared memories, and even deep affection, but if you can't trust someone, it doesn't matter. Second, intuition is real. If your gut is screaming at you, listen. Don't make excuses for someone else's behavior because you want them to be good. That's how people stay in toxic situations longer than they should. Third, love yourself first. I spent years bending over backward to justify her actions, to avoid conflict, to keep the peace. In the end, all that energy only left me feeling smaller, weaker, more vulnerable. Taking care of myself and my sanity had to come first. Fourth, honesty is non-negotiable. Even small lies can snowball into life-changing betrayals. And when someone lies repeatedly, even if they're sorry later, it changes the foundation forever. Lastly, it's okay to grieve. Leaving doesn't erase love instantly. It doesn't erase the memories or the pain. But it does open the door to healing. You don't need to rush. You don't need to forgive immediately. You just need to survive and eventually thrive. I wish I could go back and notice the signs earlier. I wish I could have spared myself months of anxiety. But I can't. So all I can do now is move forward. Stronger, wiser, and more careful with my heart. The betrayal still stings sometimes. But I finally feel like I'm reclaiming my life. And that's worth everything I lost along the way. If you're reading this because you suspect something is wrong, or because you've just found out your partner has been lying or cheating, here's what I tell you. 1. Trust your instincts. If something feels off, it probably is. Don't dismiss those feelings because you want to believe in them. 2. Don't ignore the signs. Little inconsistencies, defensiveness, secretive behavior, they matter. Your mental health is worth paying attention to. 3. Document your feelings and evidence. Not to catch someone, but to help you see patterns clearly. It'll also help you make decisions from a rational place rather than pure emotion. 4. Prioritize yourself. You cannot fix someone else's behavior if it's actively harming you. Self-respect is not selfish. 5. Grieve, process, heal. Ending a relationship, even when it's the right choice, hurts. Let yourself feel. Talk to friends, family, or a counselor. Your feelings are valid. 6. Don't rush forgiveness if you even choose it. Forgiveness doesn't have to be immediate. Sometimes it's just about moving on and protecting yourself. 7. Remember, you are not the problem. Someone else's betrayal does not reflect your worth. It reflects their choices. I can't sugarcoat it. This sucks. It hurts in ways I didn't know were possible. But walking away taught me something invaluable. My life, my peace, and my trust are worth more than pretending everything is okay. To anyone in a similar situation, you deserve honesty, respect, and love that doesn't have a second story hidden behind closed doors. Don't settle for less.